Today, the U.S. military came under attack, not overseas, but here at home. A gunman opened fire at two military facilities in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 4 Marines were killed and another was wounded. A police officer and one other person were also wounded. Their names have not yet been released, but the gunman is identified as 24-year-old Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz. He was born in Kuwait, but lived in the Chattanooga area. He was killed today, apparently by the police. We have a team of correspondents covering this story. First, we'll go to Mark Strassman in Chattanooga. Mark?
Scott, this is the military recruiting station where it all began. The facade is riddled with bullet holes. Those blue numbered cones behind me mark where the spent shell casings fell. This strip mall was the first of the 2 attacks. Police say around 10:30 this morning, a man drove right up to the Armed Forces Career Center and then gunshots as stunned witnesses watched.
We heard a loud pop and then there was a pause, and so that caused us, we went to the window to see what was going on, and when we went to the window, there was a guy in a silver Mustang convertible, and he was just unloading a large gun on the Naval Recruiting Office.
The gunman fired 25 to 30 times, then drove off. No one here was killed.
I don't know what it is, but we're in the middle of July right now, or almost in the middle of July, I should say. But around this time of year, every time I see the leaves fall due to the heat, it really makes me think about fall. That, well, we're still about 2-3 months away from the heat. Or not the heat, but to get away from the heat. But what's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all with another vlog. And now this vlog, it is one that is more on the somber side, one that really hits home, and it really really strikes a chord with what's going on in America today. And you know, that's the reason why I'm out here. And today, you guys, with it coming up on the 9th anniversary of this sad, somber date, this sad event that happened here in Chattanooga back July 16th of 2015, I figured we would look back on this event and pay our respects to the men that gave their lives protecting our country, and really to really not give a certain person that much of an acknowledgement, even though he was the one who committed the crime. So you guys, let's look back on this moment, and let's talk about the Fallen 5 and the tragedy that took place on July 16th of 2015. Now, July 16th, 2015, it started out like any other normal summertime day. It was hot outside. People were trying to beat the heat. But around 10:25 a.m., a mysterious stranger in a Mustang convertible, a gray Mustang convertible, came up to this Armed Forces Career Center, and he rolled down his window and he fired a semi-automatic weapon. Now, if you look at the news outlets, you'll see like these photos of where just like this entire front area, there were bullet holes that it was riddled with. Now, luckily, no one passed away at this location, although one officer was shot in the leg, but he recovered. And where I'm standing right now, this is probably where the car would have been, and probably right around in this area right here, you would see these little blue tag things. Well, the blue tag things represented the amount of the amount of shells that were spent. And anyway, this crazy individual that really, I don't want to give him a name, but just for the due fact that I have to, just to tell this story. His name was Muhammad Abdul Aziz, and he was originally born in Kuwait, but he grew up here in the United States, and he also went to UTC. You seem like a normal person, but the FBI actually had his father under his radar because his father had ties with a terrorist organization. Well, this crazy person, this deranged lunatic, he went abroad for about a year, and then he came back, and it seemed like something had snapped in his brain. And honestly, if you look at some of the tweets that he had made, he said that life was bitter, talked about the Islamic religion, and from here he drove 7 miles across the road to a naval/military reserve, or a naval and marine reserve center, which was close to the Tennessee River, and that's where 5 of the victims, 5 of these brave men, lost their lives. And we'll be heading there in just a minute, but here not long ago there is a monument dedicated to these men in this event that took place about 9 years ago. And now, I didn't realize that this was here up until I came down here and wanted to make a video on this subject, just because we are 4th of July just passed, and we're still kind of in the middle between events, so why not do it between then? Here is one of the markers, Chattanooga Strong, July 16th, 2015, 10:45 a.m. A vicious, senseless attack, 5 service members dead, more wounded, a city and its people stunned. Oh, I thought it was 10:25, but well, I guess I was wrong on that. Pulled by an invisible force, we came, at first only a few, then dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. Flowers, flags, children's drawings, tear-stained toys with messages of thanks and love. We did not riot, we prayed. We did not lash out at easy targets for revenge. Instead, we invited each other in our lives, homes, places of worship. Together, a city and its people proved that all the gunshots in the world cannot sever the strengths of our roots. Steady as the mountains around us, as steep as the river flowing through us, running through us. This memorial is for those who died that day, the Chattanooga 5, and for all who responded to the unthinkable with the unbreakable. So, yeah. And here's another one. The tragic events of July 16, 2015 struck our entire community deeply. First responders and members of the Chattanooga Police Department, many of whom responded while violence was ongoing, were personally affected on that fateful day. Chattanooga police officers rushed towards a violent and hostile threat, aggressively engaged the threat, and willingly placed themselves between violence and the safety of our community. Chattanooga police officers saved many lives that day. We are proud of the officers for their selfless sacrifice. They are all heroes. Chief Fred Fletcher. And today it does not look like a flag is out, but it is the weekend. I'm pretty sure that probably the recruiting office pulled it down for the weekend, but I don't know. There is a memento, or a memorial piece, that is laying here, and it looks like this is falling over here. I'm gonna pull this and set it right here. I mean, it's a little bit worn out, but I don't know, flowers like that shouldn't be laying in that position. And right across from that, here is the names of the men who lost their lives. In memory of Chattanooga's 5 heroes who gave their lives protecting others on July 16th, 2015. First one, Gunnery Sergeant Thomas J. Sullivan, Sergeant Carson Holmquist, Petty Officer Randall Smith, Staff Sergeant David Wyatt and Lance Corporal Squire Skip Wells. And from what I remember, Petty Officer Randall Smith, he was the fifth one, and what had happened is when this idiot went and opened fire on this reserve, he was shot, and he got shot pretty bad, and now he would later succumb to his wounds, and he was the fifth man. Squire Skip Wells, he was actually part of the reserve. He had just graduated high school. I know that much. He had just graduated high school. He was in the reserves, and he was from Marietta, Georgia. And after this event happened, they actually named a post office in Marietta, Georgia after him. And Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Sullivan, I know he was the first victim, and I can't remember, I think it was he and Staff Sergeant David Wyatt who were the first. Squire Skip Wells, from what they say, he was the one who ran inside before, sadly, he lost his life. Which, this is just, I mean, 9 years later, it still strikes a chord within me and my community. And really, I mean, I can totally see why a cross is here right outside the Armed Forces Career Center. You know, it pays homage, and when it comes to faith is unbreakable. You know, and depending, you know, and whatever like side of the aisle you are on, you know, always pray, always meditate for this country. We can always be better as a people. But we're gonna drive about 7 miles down the road to the Naval Reserve Office, or the Naval and Marine Office, where all this took place. And from what I understand, there is a very beautiful monument out there as well.
Police were called and were in pursuit as the suspect drove 7 miles away to this Navy and Marine Reserve Center. Everyone who died was killed at this location. The gunman's Mustang was found near the facility's front entrance. It appeared as though he smashed through an unmanned gate and drove 100 feet inside. 4 Marines were gunned down. The bodies of 2 of them lay in the parking lot. The gunman exchanged shots with police and is dead, apparently shot by a police officer. Chattanooga Police Chief Fred Fletcher.
There were numerous Chattanooga and Hamilton County officers who responded. They arrived on the scene extremely quickly, and they actively and enthusiastically engaged this brazen criminal.
People started showing up to grieve the dead right away. The twin attacks lasted a half hour, but for this community, coming to terms with this deadly day and the deaths of 4 Marines will take much longer.
Now, after the gunman had opened fire at the military recruitment center just up the road from here, he sped down the road about 7 miles. When I drove to get down here, it took about 11 minutes, but I imagine he was probably speeding. I don't know what that was in the report, but he ran through a gate at full force with his Mustang convertible, pushed about 100 feet into the Naval and Marine Office Reserve, the Navy and Marine Reserves building, and that's when he opened fire. And here's the building, the Navy Reserve Center and Marine Corps Reserve Center. And that gate, it was this one right here. Now, obviously, they are not taking any chances, and I do not blame them. They have multiple rails like this one right here. Not rails, but multiple guard things, pretty much to keep people from speeding in. And well, like I said, I can see why. But about 9 years later, I'm glad that there is about 110% initiative to keep that from happening again. But yeah, this is where that lunatic drove through with his car. And this is where the gunfight took place. Several officers within about 10-15 minutes arrived at the scene, and this is where the shootout happened. And during this gunfight, one officer did get wounded. I believe he got shot in the leg. But with the bravery of the men that were doing their jobs that day, he got pulled behind the cars, and the gunfight continued until finally one of the bullets hit Muhammad Abdulaziz, thus ending this tyrannical onslaught, or this trivial rage that he committed on these innocent people. 9 years later, it is so much more peaceful outside. But that day, July 16th, 2015, it was one that I think a lot of people wish that they could put out of their minds. And speaking of the fallen five, here on this bridge walk right here, you have 5 American flags, and it looks like they're on display behind glass, so they can't really deteriorate, and they were meant to represent the 5 men who lost their lives. I mean, I walked past this the first time, and now that I'm seeing it again, it's right outside the Navy Reserve Center and Marine Corps Reserve Center. Great way to pay respects to these men. But out here is another memorial, and I believe it happened. They constructed it about 2 years after all this took place, and it's beautiful. So let's go down to the riverside and see it. I've seen pictures of it online, and it's really beautiful, and it's a great way to remember these 5. Remember the Chattanooga 5. There we go. After a little bit of walking, here it is. 5 pillars. Whew. I'll tell you, this humidity, it is, yeah, you gotta love southern summers. About the same type of weather as it was about 9 years ago. Whew. And, well, it's more beautiful up close. If you look, you can see all the different things written on the whirlwind. God bless in our hearts. See some other stuff. Faith, hope, love. Faith, hope, love, Nuga. Nuga strong. Might be Nuga strong. Tennessee never forgets our fallen. So, a lot of different names, or a lot of different things said about these men. Carson Allen Lewis Holmquist, Sergeant, born October 6th, 1989, in Grantsburg, Wisconsin. Died July 15th in Chattanooga, Tennessee, son of Thomas and Sue Holmquist and LaBrenda Johnson Holmquist, and Jeff Lindis, brother of Chris Holmquist, husband to Jasmine Jones, father of Wyatt Allen and Rylan Carson, graduate of Grantsburg High School, and tells a little bit more about his history right there, or what he did as a soldier. Randall Scott Smith, logistics specialist in 2nd class, enlisted service warfare specialist. And Randall was the petty officer who succumbed to his wounds, and he died about 3 days later. Born April 16th, 1989 in Paulding, Ohio. Died July 18th, 2015 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Son to Tracy Smith and Paula Proxmire, brother of Shauna Smith, husband to Angie Smith, father of Layla, Elia, and Kayla. Graduate from Paulding High School. Served in the U.S. Navy at the Navy Operational Support Center. Purple Heart Medal, Battle and E-Ribbon, Good Contact Medal, National Defense Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Pistol Expert Medal. Thomas Joseph Sullivan, known by some of his friends and family as Gunny. Born March 22nd, 1975 in Springfield, Massachusetts. Died July 16th, 2015 in Chattanooga. Son of Jeremiah Jerry and Mary Betty Sullivan, brother to Joseph Joe Sullivan and Diane Sullivan Karen. Graduate of Cathedral High School, bachelor's degree in criminal justice and master's degree in management, posthumously from America Military University. Served in the U.S. Marine Corps as part of the Mike Battery, 3rd Battalion, 14th Marine Regiment, 4th Marine Division, Marines Forces Reserve at the Battery Gunnery Sergeant. And this tells about what medals that he received. And I'm sorry, I hope I'm not being disrespectful by not reading all of them completely. It's just so darn hot outside. And Squire Kempton Paul Skip Wells, Lance Corporal, born April 29th, 1994 in Portsmouth, Virginia. Oh, I thought he was from Marietta, Georgia. My bad on that. Born April 29th in Portsmouth, Virginia. Died July 16th, 2015, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Graduate of Sprayberry High School, attended Georgia Southern University. Served in the U.S. Marine Corps of the Mike Battery, 3rd Battalion Marine Regiment, 4th Marine Division, Marine Forces Reserve as a field artillery cannoneer. Purple Heart Medal, National Defense Service Medal. That was so sad. He was so young. And David Allen Wyatt, Staff Sergeant, born November 7th, 1979 in Morganton, North Carolina. I believe I said, yeah. Died July 16th, July 16th, 2015 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Son to Alan and Michelle Wyatt and Deborah and Martin Bowen, brother of Dwayne Trent, Elizabeth Wyatt, Chastity Ayers, Chelsea Palmer, Thomas A. Flinner, and Jeremiah A. Wyatt, husband to Lori Wyatt, father to Rebecca Wyatt and Heath Wyatt. Graduated from Russellville High School, attended Piedmont Community College, Arkansas Tech, and Montana State University, Eagle Scout and Arrow of Light, Boy Scouts of America. Anyway, that's some of the stuff that, the medals that he received. And now I don't exactly know what the table represents, but I like that it's here in the middle of all this. Still, wish I knew what it meant though, or what it symbolized. Oh, it's called the Wreath of Honor. I thought it was, anyway, I screwed that up. Anyway, it's called the Wreath of Honor, and this talks a little bit about the wreath, the piece itself, the memorial. On July 16th, 2015, 4 Marines and sailors and one sailor lost their lives in the line of duty at the nearby U.S. Navy Operational Support Center. In the days that followed, Chattanooga created temporary memorials and held vigils at the Tennessee River Park. A suspended wreath marks a site made sacred by sacrifice and by the community's act of kindness, support, and strength in response to this tragedy. If y'all have a chance, make sure to come out to the Wreath of Honor. Pay your respects. That was a very, very sad day in the history of not only my community, but the United States as a whole. And now we're going to go to one more spot, and it is a big mural that was painted not long after all this happened, and it's probably one of the more iconic pieces or memorials to these men. At least I think so anyway. In fact, I remember when it went up, I saw the it was News Channel 3 or it was News Channel 9 that I saw that talked about it. And when we get there, I'll tell you all a little bit about what I was doing that day. I mean, you'd be surprised. Well, I thought I knew where it was at. Been driving around for about an hour and a half in here in downtown, and I haven't found it. And I tried looking it up on Google Maps, and the only thing it'll take me to is Mural Alley, and that's kind of where I thought it was, but I couldn't find it. But you guys, I think I've shown y'all enough. Kind of hate that I couldn't show y'all that, but oh well. I'll talk about what I was doing that day, just because it was a very sad event. And well, anyway, I was an intern at the Cleveland Daily Banner in 2015. It was my first ever internship. Now, as I was sitting at my desk, I was working on a story. That's when I had seen online that somebody had opened fire at a army or a military recruiting office here in Chattanooga. And then later on in the day, we would get more info on it. Then we found out that 4 people had lost their lives and 1 was on life support. Now, obviously, the one on life support did not make it. Randall did not, and so it became the Fallen 5 of Chattanooga. But I guess what stuck out to me so much is that we had somebody under contract who worked at the Banner, and they did not bother to go down to where the shooting had taken place. In fact, they had made a pretty bad story on Bradley Square Mall and what local towns do, like in the event of a major event that would take place. But I don't know. I feel like that he could have done more, but obviously he they cut his contract after, or that they didn't renew it. But anyway, guys, I hope you all like this video. Remember, if there's a veteran that you know or you're friends with or family, just thank them. Thank them for defending your country and defending your freedoms and making this world just a little bit safer. But anyway, guys, remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. It goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this video is over.